Hi guys, welcome back to Bunny Brook Design. So I'm just cleaning up some beads here. So today we are going to be doing some shibori, and I was kind of disappointed I only had one of these peach beads. So I was like, I need to do something peach themed for beading with the bargain bead box. So I thought about doing, and they're kind of big, but peach earrings. So I've got this Shibori, and it's kind of yellow with purple, but I thought it would go well, not with those, but with this. It kind of has similar tones, and I thought it would look good if we did the big fat side with the Shibori and then filled in with beads. And then I thought maybe instead of the leaves there, we could stitch on a leaf on either side so that it would have actual leaves instead of hand-drawn leaves, and we could probably glue those down. Anyways, we'll get to that part of beading here in a bit. First things we've got to do is we've got to stitch down the shibori. So I need to decide how I want it. Do I want it fanned out all the way like that, or do I want it tight and starting tight here and then pinching it tight there and then working it so that it curves a little bit? And I think I may want to do that. So I'm going to start up here, and I'm going to start by just sticking my needle somewhere randomly in the fabric and pulling it up because I have a knot back here, but I don't want to start beading or doing my shibori right with the knot. And I don't have thread that would match this, so I'm just using white all-purpose thread to stitch on the shibori. And then we'll be using 4-pound fire lining crystal to do the beads. So I'm going to start pretty close to this edge up here. I don't want to get too close. So I'm going to zoom in on you guys. I'm going to move the camera down just a little bit, just so you can see what I'm doing real well here. And I am going to, and this isn't cut in half. Normally I cut my shibori in half down the center and fan it out, but I want this fairly compact. So I'm not cutting it in half. I'm using the full width of the shibori this time. And I'm just going to go in through all of them. And I'm going to pull it nice and tight. And then I'm going to find a point to stitch it down. And I'm just going to go through and pull my thread through. And that's just tacking it down. I mean, it's not really down at all, but I want to be able to maneuver this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold this thread really tight, and I'm going to come up through the center and holding this in the diagonal that I want. I'm going to go back down pretty close to the spot, but not through the ribbon. So I'm just kind of tacking this down in like a whip stitch fashion, because keep in mind we are going to be putting beads over this, so it's going to get tacked down even further when we do the beads, because we're going to have to put beads around that. So all right, so now I've got that, and I want to tack this corner here. So I'm going to come up through this, and I'm going to tack this down right there. So now that we've got our side tacked, all right, and that's gonna start our curve. Now I need to decide how I want this to lay, because as you can see, it's going to I need to decide where I need to go first, because this is going to bunch quite a bit down here, but on this side it's kind of short. So I need to decide where I'm going to put this. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this long side down first. So I'm going to come up through and I'm going to snag the first fold of my shibori. And then I am just going to hold it where I want it with the needle. So I'm just taking the needle, and just to show you this, I'm just taking the needle and I'm moving it so that the shibori goes where I want it to. And I'm just going to do a little running stitch here. And so I'm going to come back up through pretty close to where I went down. Again, just tacking the edge of that shibori, because by doing just the edge there, I can manipulate this into position where I want it. And so we're just going to pull that. And this is going to get some beads over it anyways. We always do a border of beads. So the threads will be covered. You won't see those. This side will probably have the smaller crystals. So I will probably be doing these crystals here. These amber colored crystals. And maybe even some of the brown there to cover up those threads. Maybe even some of the white. I don't know. I haven't decided. I may even find some pinks or some peaches from my kit or from my stash that'll match this color pink and do something with that. Now we're going to have to start turning this. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to start manipulating it with your fingers. And so I'm just going to hold it down with my thumb. And I'm not holding it tight because I do need to be able to maneuver this. So as you can see now, I just pushed it into place and I'm tacking it down. Now I am leaving a little bit of space because as you can see, when I let go, it popped back right to the edge. I don't want the shibori right up to the edge. And when I say I don't want it right up to the edge, I don't want to be stitching on the black line because that's the line we're going to use to cut. And I don't want to be cutting my thread. I don't want to be cutting my my ribbon because that'll start to lend it to fray. So basically I am just going to go around and continue on stitching. As you can see now, I'm starting to form it, holding it with my thumb, going up, and coming down. And I'm doing maybe 1/4 of an inch at a time. So now, as you can see, once we get this sewn on and we get this bunched up, this is going to form a really weird shaped, because again, we're going to be pinching these pleats together and it's going to form this really weird shape, but that's what we want. We want the shibori to be uneven and so it's probably going to look something like that when we're done. So I'm going to continue on going on around. You don't need to watch me sew the edge on. So we're going to do that. And once I'm done sewing this edge on, I will come back and I will show you how to do this edge. And then I will show you how to finish off the bottom. All right, guys. So as you can see, I did not finish this side all the way. I left a little bit of a gap because I want to get this side done and see where this side ends up. So I'm going to come up through. I have not snagged my fabric yet because I wanted to see where I needed to snag the shibori to get it so that it is spread out. And I'm going to just snag right there through the fabric and just kind of pull it so that I can start my line. Now, on this one, I can go right up to this line because this is not a cut line. This is actually a demarcation of the peach. This is supposed to be that indent on the peach. So I'm just getting a few good bites here, getting it started. I'm holding it with my thumb. So also coming up, I've been playing with beads with this the bargain bead box. Strangely enough, I haven't done a whole lot with the purple yet on the other box that I have for the curated. Just because I'm like, I've got too many ideas for that and they're so pretty. I just don't know what I want to do. So, all right, so we are almost to the end, and I'm going to start curving this because I want it to start curving toward the edge in the same manner that the outside of the peach is, because we're going to curve this. And so this guy's getting curved because I need him right up to that point. So we are almost down to this edge. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a space there. I'm not going all the way to the edge because now we've got this mess of a fan and we need to wrangle this guy. So this has to get pushed up there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come up and I'm not going to snag the thread. I'm going to come up pretty much right where I want it to end. And I'm going to start picking up the folds, which means just picking up the purple or the gray or whatever color this is. And I'm just going to start going through the folds and adding them to my needle. And so just going to go through that now that I've gotten all of that, tighten it up, and see where I need to put this. So again, we may need to cut. So I'm looking at that and I'm wondering if I need to tuck that under like that. It's going to be poofy if I did that. So we need to find a way to tuck this down without making it too puffy. I mean, we can leave it puffy. It can be puffy. I don't know if I want it that puffy though. Hi baby, I got a bunny at my feet again. That's what made me not think for a minute here. Here you go, baby. There. All right, so how do we want to do this? So I'm thinking that we could tuck that down right there. That might actually work. So it's going to be puffy, and that's fine. I'm fine with puffy. Because again, we're going to be putting beads in there. Some beads. And so it will end up going down. So now that I've tucked it in where I need it, I am just going to start stitching over these ends and really getting this tied down. Now, I know we're not directly at the edge here. I can put a stitch right there at the edge. We don't need to be too close to the edge because we do need to put some beads around this. So I'm just coming up and going down through. All right. So now that we've gotten that sewn on, I'm also going to come up here and tack down this edge a little bit better up here, just because I know this looks like it's not super sturdy, and I only did a couple of stitches up there. And so now I'm just whip stitching over and going through the shibori. So keep in mind shibori has an ugly phase. You know, and hey, we may like the puff and we may leave the puff, and I may just beat around. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to tie this off because I have I don't want to put beads on this thread. This is just to tack down the shibori. So I like to use beading thread when I'm doing beads, just because, especially if you're using bicones or crystals that have sharp edges, they can cut thread just from, you know, regular wear and tear. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to go and do the other piece. We're going to do these two pieces together at the same time, just so we kind of keep them in sync. So I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to go do this one and get this put on, and then I will meet you back here so we can start beading. Hi guys, so I'm back. It's the next day. I went ahead and did a border on this side. And I also started filling in down here when I got done with my crystals. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to see how I liked the gold with it. And I do like the gold. So I'm not sure I'm going to use these beads because they're silver lined and I don't know if they'll go necessarily. But I wanted to show you what I was thinking. I wanted to fill in here. So I was thinking a large bead, some smaller beads in here to go along the edge, and then we can fill in maybe with additional smaller beads here. But I've got this spot up here at the top, and what I wanted to show you, like, I just got through stitching the last stitch, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to come up through. And it's fine if I'm not exactly on the line here, because we're going to have a leaf bead here that's going to kind of cover some of this. But I'm just going to go back through 3 beads, and then I need to join this. So I could do gold. I could probably do a gold bead or 2. Let's see what 2 gold beads look like. If we don't like them, we can take that off and put a crystal there. Because what I want to do is I want to incorporate some of the gold from down here up here across there. And I think I like that. I'm going to go through this crystal bead, and then I'm going to go back down through my fabric right there, just to kind of tie these together. So now I've got some gold up here, some gold down here. I want to start filling in here with beads and crystals. So I'm going to pick up, first I'm going to come up right next to my gold bead here, right in between the gold bead and the bicone in the fabric, and that's fine. I'm going to do the same thing I did down here. I'm going to pick up a peach bead. So I'm going to get some peach beads out here. And I'm going to pick up a peach bead and a gold bead and a peach bead. And I want to see how far across that's going to go, because I want to try to cover the threads there. I'm going to pick up another gold, another peach, and that looks like it will cover. So what I'm doing is I'm just measuring to see just if I can get just to the edge of the fabric, and I'm going to go down through here and then just do that. I'm going to come up one more time between these two gold beads here, and I'm going to pick up a peach. Actually, I'm going to pick up two peaches to start, because there's just a little bit of space there. And what I want to do is I want to get these beads in that gap nice and tight. And they will go in there. They will snake in there once the thread is tight. See, they'll snake right underneath there. So I'm going to pick up, I think, 5 or 6 of these peach beads. Just because I want to go underneath that gold, and so that's 5. And I'm just going to go down right below this gold. That should cover my, yes, that's perfect. See, that covers up my stitching. I still need to do something right there, but I didn't want to do something with these beads. I'm thinking maybe a bicone there, just to give me something a little bit different. To right there to cover that. So I'm going to do a bicone and a gold bead, I think. And so we're just filling in just a little bit here. And I'm going to, instead of going along the edge, I am going to stick this down right here so it looks like it's coming down from the top. Now, the next thing we need to do is start filling in our space, but I don't want to put a big bead. As you can see, a big bead isn't going to fit up there. So I'm thinking a crystal will fit. So we're going to do, I think we'll do, I don't know if we want to do peach or gold. So maybe over here we do gold and peach, or gold and crystal. So we're going to pick up a gold, pick up a crystal, and let's see where that ends us up. So if we come in here, because I want this to curve around now. So that's going to come in here. I'm going to pick up another gold. And then we are going to, I'm going to turn this around because I want to see where this is heading. So that's right there. If I come down right next to this peach bead right here, so I'm just going right down next to the peach bead. That's going to tuck nicely around. It's going to be curved slightly, which is what I want. And then I'm going to come up through, and I'm going to go through 2 beads. And it's going to be a little loose at the moment, but we'll tighten down here in a second. I'm just giving that a nice tug, and as you can see, that snug down. Now I can pick up a pink bead, and so now I want to start going down. Now the question then becomes, do I want to do 2 pink beads next to each other, or do I want to do alternating pink and gold? So I've got pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to string on these and see how they look. And then I am going to make a decision because I may do... So see, that's going to be... That would look good, I think. Let me see here. And then a crystal at the end. So that looks good. I like that. I'm going to go down through. And then just pull those tight. Now we're going to need to anchor this. But because these are such large beads, it's going to be really hard to anchor them down without pinching the threads. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back up through. I'm going to start here in between the two big ones, the first two big ones. And I was pulling tight on my thread just so I could see where they start. And I'm going to go through 2 beads, which is going to hold them tight. And then I'm going to go right down through my fabric. Now I can see white space, which I really don't like. But what we're going to do is we're going to fill in around these. So now I came down through this big, I came out this one and went down. Now I'm coming up between the second and third bead, and I'm going to go through 2 and go back down. This should anchor these quite nicely. And then we're going to start filling in with some crystals. And so that looks cute. So there's my demarcation. And now I've got crystals that I can add in here. So I can fill this in with crystals. I can fill it in with additional peach beads. Like I can add, maybe that's kind of big. Maybe we add some white. I don't know. I'm thinking I want more pink than not, but we don't have small pink beads, so I don't want to do that too much. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a decision, and I'm going to grab some more crystals. So I have, and I'm just off camera here, I have crystal beads that are pink and peach, and I'm going to grab my 2 sets of beads that I know would be close. So I've got these pink, I've got those pink, and I'm honestly thinking these would go better. And then I also have peachy colored beads here that are peach and kind of coppery, which may go well there. So I may use these. Actually, those might go really, really well. So I'm just going to take a few out and see what we have here. Because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate the rest of these with gold and these crystals. And the bicones. So we're gonna do a mix. So what I need to do to start out with is I need to get a couple of peach beads. Tacked down in here. So this is where I'm no longer going to be doing rows. I'm just going to start tacking beads in. So what I need to do is I need to get these beads in and down, and you can use pliers, you can use tweezers, just something to get them stuck into the spot that you want it in. Be careful you don't knot your thread like I just did. Thankfully, I do believe this is a maybe. There we go. Just a little slip knot. And I'm running out of thread, but that's fine because we can always finish off and start a new thread. I'm going to come up here right next to my bicone. I'm going to pick up a gold. I'm going to pick up one of these crystals. So we're going to alternate. I'm going to pick up another gold. And I'm going to tack this down right here next to my big bead. And so what I'm going to do on the next one is I'm going to come up through because I don't want to see the hole in the bead. I'm going to come up through, go through I am going to do a row here just because I don't want to see, and I'm going to pick up a crystal. Oops, sorry about shaking the camera. And another gold bead. And we are going to go down through the center, right next to the center bead. And I'm going to come back up through. And so all I'm doing here is I'm trying to just get these tight. It's going to slightly fit in there and be a little bit snug. You may see some white space, and if you do, you can always just fill in with like a peach bead. So we'll do that too. I will show you how to do that, and then I will go finish the other one off camera before we get to the actual cutting and finishing, just so that I have, oops, and I just unthreaded my needle. Just so we have the mirror images. So keep in mind, whatever you do on the one, you have to do on the other if you want mirror images. And I cannot thread my needle. There we go. So as you can see, that one's not quite in the space where I want it to be. So I am going to take this guy off. I'm going to put a second gold bead on. And then I'm going to do my crystal. So, but also keeping in mind that if it happens to fall differently on that one, that I'm going to need to still do it and find a way to put 2 gold beads there. Otherwise, it's going to look out of the ordinary or just not symmetrical. And I'm going to go down. And I don't know what happened to him. He twisted. There we go. See, that looks good. Right, it's right in where I want it to be tucked in. And I do like that. And we are going to pick up, I'm going to do another gold bead. And I am going to do a bicone on this, and that should fill me in right there. And instead of doing a gold bead, I'm going to do a peach bead because we are out of space right there. So I'm going to go down right there, and I'm going to just pull that nice and tight. And as you can see, now we have a nice band, but I have some white space right here. So I'm going to come up, and I'm just going to do a single bead. So I'm just going to come up here, and actually we could probably do a bunch of beads and tuck them under. So I'm going to come up. So I'm coming up right there between those beads, the first row that goes over and my border. And I'm just going to pick up, I don't know, 3 pink beads to start. And then I am just going to bend my work a little bit just to tuck them under and get them tucked down. And then I'm going to come up between that second row I just created and the, like, right at the last bead, if I can get my needle in. There we go. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick up some peach beads, and I think I'm going to pick up 5 this time, and see if 5 may be too many. Nope, 5 should be good. And I'm going to come down right next to this bicone. And there we go. So that's going to look good. Now I'm just going to come up through. I'm going to anchor these just a little bit, just because I don't want them, because I put 5 on there, I don't want them loose. There we go. And now I can put a gold bead on. I'm going to put a gold bead and see if I can tuck that. Nope, gold bead won't fit. So we'll do another peach bead, and then we'll do a gold bead. So I'm trying to go around this, like this bicone right here. I'm trying to go around it and then fill in some space. Now, we may not have room for additional bicones and additional crystals. We may just have to do gold beads and peach beads. And as you can see, that bead folded down. That's fine. If that happens, just loosen it up, come back up through, and do a row, because as soon as I go through this, as you can see, it's flat, but as soon as I pick it up like this, and I do that and pull it nice and tight, the bead will, it'll pop up. And so now it's popped up. I think I might be able to get a I don't know if I can get a crystal in there. I don't know if that would be too big. I'm thinking that would be too big. So I do have these littler crystals that might go. So let's see if we can put one of these littler ones, these 3mm ones on. And then we'll do a gold. And I think that might work. It might stick up just a hair, but that's fine. Just remember, this is your artwork, so, you know, you can follow along. But if yours doesn't look, if you want to try this and yours doesn't look quite like mine, that's fine. It's art, and so you want this to be unique. You don't want it to be like everybody else's. I like that. I really do. I think I'm going to put crystals over here too. I think I just want a crystal here, at least something here, and maybe something down here, and then something right there, I think. So I'm going to continue coming up through, and you don't have to come up at 3 beads or 2 beads. You can come up wherever you think you need to secure. And I just went through the fabric. I forgot that I wasn't already... I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. It's been a long day at work. And I'm trying to get this done before I have to go out and try to wrangle bunnies again tonight. We've been out every night trying to wait for the bunnies to be somewhere where they're accessible to us. All right, so we're going to do another gold bead because we're next to a bicone. Let's see. Gold bead, and then I think we can do another one of these little tiny brown beads. That is if I can find the hole. There's the hole. Yeah. Sometimes it's really hard to see the holes on these things. There we go. Yes, I took that off camera and put it underneath a magnifying glass. All right, so now we're right next. That's fine if we're right next to another crystal. I may pick up an additional one of those crystals and do 3 beads. And I know the rule is usually only do 2 beads at a time, but you know what? I can do 3. It just means that when I anchor down, I'm going to have to come up through between the 2 beads and anchor this way instead of going through, because these beads need to be tightened down. Now I'm going to pick up a gold and maybe a second. I'm actually going to pick up a pink and another gold, because we're on that corner there, and there's not a ton of room to go around that crystal. So I'm thinking that will look good. And then we may pick up another, oopsie. Seriously? Oh, that's... Try not to get your thread tangled like that. So we've picked up, I'm thinking, I've got a little space there. I'm thinking maybe gold to go around. That. So we pick up a gold. And a peach. Actually, a gold and 2 peaches, I think. And that will probably finish off, for the most part, this row. One more peach. Crystal. 1 crystal. I think we could get a little brown crystal in there and give a little bit more color to that spot. Maybe. I'm going to go down. If I don't like it, I'm going to pull it out, but I think we can get that in. Yep, we got it in. All right, so now I'm in. That looks good. Now I want to put something, and I'm going to come up through right here. So I want to put a crystal right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit different than I normally do. So I'm going to pick up my crystal, and I'm going to set it down right there. And I want to see that right there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just tack this down right there, and not do anything else with it. We're just going to tack it down and just put a pop right there in between those 2 beads. And I'm going to do one more down here just because I need something down in this spot. Except on this, I think I'm going to pick up... I'm thinking one of the crystals, but I'm also thinking gold, maybe. And doing a 3 bead there. Nope. That's too much, and it's not where I want it to start. So we're just going to pick up the crystal and put it where I want it, and then we'll see about putting gold in. So I just want the crystal to come right there. There we go. That's what I wanted right there. All right, so that's perfect. Now I'm going to come up, and I'm not really anchoring that more than one pass. I probably should go up and do this. I'm going to come up through and just give it a good anchor. There we go. And now I want to put something over here. Now I'm debating, do I want to put a big bead there? I think that's too big. Crystal there, maybe. Yes, crystal. I actually think I'm going to do a gold and crystal. So I'm going to come up. I'm going to do a gold, a crystal, and a gold. And I'm just going to set that right in here and have it come down right. So basically I just put in a crystal that just to give it, I've got these crystal beads over here. I wanted to give it something over here to be a crystal. So now I've gotten it to this point, and I can still see a little bit of white space, but it's not like you can really see it. I'm debating whether I want to put something in here. You know, maybe a crystal or something in here just to anchor this. As you can see, this is sticking up just a hair more than I would like. And you can kind of tuck in your pleats like I did there. But I'm thinking I might want to put something in the pleats to anchor that down. Maybe come down starting right about here and do just something diagonal. I don't know yet. I'm gonna sit with that for a minute. So I'm not gonna finish off my thread because we still have the leaves to do. And what I'm thinking is I'm going to stitch on, and I'll probably cut this before I stitch on the leaf. I was thinking maybe just doing through one of the beads and just stitching on a leaf there and a leaf there and just cutting the earrings so that the leaves actually stick up. But I'm going to take my thread off. I'm going to hold on to this before I finish off. And I'm going to, because I'm going to use this thread maybe to sew on the leaves or to do additional work if I need to. I'm going to go do this one and get this one all done, and I will meet you back so that we can finish off. All right, guys, so real quick before we go to finishing off, I just wanted to show you, this is how I'm going to get this thread onto there. I just put it through some of the felt, some of the strings, and I'm just going to tie a knot on it. So this is how you can attach after you've already sewn on a bunch of beads like this. You can just attach the thread to some of those other threads, and well, we can do this together because we're almost at a point here. So I'm going to come up through some beads here, and I'm going to pick this guy up, and we're going to go down pretty much in the same spot. And then we're going to come back up in a spot almost, ooh, don't snag, don't snag. There we go. We're going to set that guy aside for the moment. I'm going to pick up my other bead, and I'm going to go down pretty much right next to that bead that I started with. Because I need these two to be close, just so we can do it like the other one. And again, it's not going to be, they may be both on the same plane, going in the same direction. And I actually went right through that bead, which was pretty cool. I'm going to pick up my bicone now. And then go right back down through this. Now, I'm not really caring where I'm going in the fabric, as long as it's pretty close to what I'm doing. And again, going up through the leaf bead, through the bicone, and back down. And then just pulling it as tight as I can possibly pull it. And there we go. We have our other leaves on. And now I can fasten off in the same way. So I'm going to glue this. I'm going to let this dry overnight. Now I know some people will tell you you can glue and then right away you can, you know, do your start doing your edging. I don't like to do that only because every time I've ever done that before, I've had issues where the felt slides. And so what I don't want to do is I don't want to have this sliding all over the place and having and I may try it. We may give this a try because I want to get these done, because I have some really cool wire wrap jewelry I want to do with you guys coming up here, and I'd like to be able to start that tomorrow. So we're going to press that down, give that a nice good press. I am going to cut these out of this fabric because I can reuse this piece for smaller embroidery. And see, as you can see, I was too close to the edge there, and I was able literally to slide that over just a little bit to get it back on the edge. So that's why I say I don't like to do the edging before this is dry. So what I may do is I may just set those aside. And those look really cool. I'm liking that green. I'm liking this green backing against that. I think that looks really good together. I think it's going to look fun when it's all done. So I'm going to set this all aside for the moment. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause you. And then I'm going to set up for some wire jewelry, and we'll do that in the meantime, and then I will finish up. You've seen me do that, doing the brick stitch edging. I may skip that in this video, and then just at the end just show you what it looks like when it's all done. I actually haven't decided what color beads I'm going to go with on the edging. I'm debating whether I want to see if I can maybe find some green that might match that in 8-ohs. I don't know if I have any 8-ohs that are green, that are that color green. I have a ton of 11-ohs, but I don't know if I have any that'll match that color green. I mean, I have spearmint, but that's too blue. I have green luster. That's too green. So I'm looking for a yellowish green. I have That color still too bluish. So basically, I have all of these colors. I just don't think I have anything that is remotely green enough to go with this yellow green. So I guess we're gonna have to do gold or peach. And so I can do gold 11-Os, and actually I have gold 11-Os here that I can use instead of these. Same brand. So I could do gold around the edge, or I could do the peach around the edge. I'm thinking the peach maybe, or the gold. I don't know. So I'll decide that once this is dry. But we'll be doing that in the next video, and I will show you the final product. So anyways, I'm going to pause for now, and I will be back. Okay, guys, I decided not to wait for the glue to dry. I trimmed and then started playing with my beads. And I decided to go with 8-0 golds just because that'll fill in pretty much all of the gap. And I decided to make it even one step harder and use clear nylon thread. So I did that because I didn't want the white thread showing on the back. So I don't have any thread that's going to match this color green. So what I'm doing is I'm stitching in so that you're not going to see the thread on the back, and these beads are just going to float. So all I'm doing is I'm going through both layers, coming up about to the center, where the center of the bead would be. And normally you need to measure, and if you, I'm going to throw beads away. And if you want to measure, how to do that is just literally take your bead, bring it up there, and because the width of the bead this way is wider than the width of the bead this way, you literally can just do this, put it on its side, and right where it's on its side, that's where you can stick your needle through. And that's going to give you perfect placement for your bead for your brick stitch. Now I can come up through, pull my thread, and I know you can't see this on camera. I can barely see it, and I'm sitting right here. And so there you go. Now your beads, you have a little bit of a space, so they're not super tight next to each other. And going to pick up the next one. Again, measure it if you aren't sure how wide it needs to be. Make sure you get a good bite of both of the backing and your beadwork. Come up through your bead and do the brick stitch. Now that's all you're going to have to do. I'm going to go around and do this. Actually, let's do together up to the top here. And I was just trimming a little bit more off because it was jagged. And then I will show you how to make your loop for your top. Now, alternately, you could stitch on a jump ring. You could sew in a jump ring, glue something on. You could add, so like if I wanted to, I could find a 6-0 bead, or the 8-0 might actually fit a jump ring through it. So you could just do that, decide where your center point is, and do 8-0s. And that's a little close, but that's fine. I'll show you how to fix that. I'm not going to go back through and take that out. Once your needle's through the fabric all the way, it becomes a real pain in the butt to like for me, it does to dethread the needle and then rethread the needle and start again. And I don't want to put a lot of holes in my suede. So what I'm going to do is, this one's a little tight, so I'm just going to take and go just a hair wider on this one. So what's going to happen is when I pull that, right, when I come up through here and I pull that, it's going to separate these two just a hair. And so I'm just picking up a bead. And we're just going to keep doing that until we get to the top. And for me, the top is going to be right between these two leaves. Regardless of whether that's exactly the top, because that's how I want it to lay. I don't want the peaches to be dead center. So we're going to make them hang off to the diagonal. So this one when it hangs is going to hang this way a little bit, and then this one's going to hang this way a little bit. So they're going to be symmetrical or mirrored. They're just going to be not super straight, because what I want it to have is the effect of a peach hanging on a branch. So when it's hanging off the ear, it's going to look like, you know, natural peaches. And I have a perfect cut scenario I can show you when you accidentally cut something too low. So right here, I dipped down and there's nothing to bite around that crystal. But I'm going to show you exactly how to do it where, oh, why do I have, there we go. And keep in mind, when you're doing borders, I know a lot of people use 11-0s, some people use 15-0s. Just keep in mind that the bigger the bead, the faster it goes. The smaller the bead, the longer it takes. And if I were using 15-0s here, you'd probably see more of the edging, which with these beads here, it literally masks some of the flaws. Which is why I like using 8-0s instead of 11 or 15s. So what I'm going to do here, because I don't have any space to come straight up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my thread to the back and I'm going to angle like this. So I'm going to go through the felt, and I know I'm going to snag the felt. I'm just going to come up on an angle so it comes out underneath that bead. And then you can continue on. Just make sure you don't get your thread in a knot or get your thread knotted around the bead. All right, we're getting close to doing our edging. So I am going to come up through there. I'm thinking 1 or 2 more beads, and we will be at the spot we need to do our edge. Now keep in mind, with the clear thread like I'm using, this is very fine thread, and it's going to need to hold a lot of weight. So we're going to have to do it many, 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 many times around in order to get it to. All right, so I need to go in here and I'm actually going to come up around the beads on this one because I don't have enough of the felt there. Otherwise, And that's fine if you've got clear thread. If you're doing this with clear thread and you can't, so that right there, that bead is pretty much prime time, dead center, in between. So I'm going to use that as my anchor point. And I'm going to grab, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6. I'm going to grab 7. So I'm going to grab an odd number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide all these beads down. And then I am going to go back down through this bead and back through the fabric just to give it a starting anchor. Now I'm going to come back up through that bead. And as you can see, I already started going up some beads, and that's fine. Make sure you don't snag your leaf beads like I just did. I don't even know where that's around. There we go. And just now I'm going to go through just those 7 beads that I just put on. And I'm going to go through those, oh, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times. So that's 2. There's 3. Make it into a round loop as you're doing it. That's 2. This is 3. We're starting our 3rd one. I'm going to flip it over just to make it easier for me to see it. And if you can't get through all of the beads at once, go through a couple. That's fine. I'm going to go back down through. And it looks like I missed a bead, or I looped it over a bead. So I'm going to have to pull that out. Make sure you don't do that when you're doing this, is snag or skip a bead like I did, because then you're going to have a weird, funky looking loop. Okay. And now I'm going to rethread my needle off camera here, just because I need the magnifying glass to see clear thread going through a needle. This is not great on the eyes. And I still see... there we go. All right, there we go. Now we're cooking. All right. So I apparently had it wrapped around quite well. And that's easy to do when you can't see the thread. Beauty of this is you can't see it on the back here. The problem is seeing where it's coming out from your beads here and where it's going can become an issue. So I am going to do this loosely until I can tighten there. All right, I'm coming out of that one. I need to go up through this. And I lost count as to how many times I've gone through and how much I had to pull out. So I'm going to go through this one more time after this, just to make sure I have a good amount on my loop. Now this is still loose, It's going to be loose until I can tighten it up. And when I say tighten it up, I mean really tighten it up. And I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So I'm just going back through. And I've got 3 more beads to go through. And now I am back down to the bottom. Whoopsie. So now I'm down to the bottom. And I'm back where we started once I get it off my leaf. So that's the one thing that I've been doing, is because these leaves are in the way, I'm snagging the leaves when I'm stitching. So be careful of your leaves. So now I'm back down to the bottom, and now I'm just going to pull as tight as I can on that. And this is stretchy, so it will stretch a little. I'm going to go back through this bead here. Now this puts us in an awkward place where, where we can't start our next bead because we're going on the down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my fabric from back to front like I would be doing if I was adding a bead. And then I am going to go back up through that one bead, skipping all of the other beads that make up my loop. Now make sure you don't get anything snagged. Now that I'm back up through that bead, I can now pick up my next bead and continue on through the other side. So, which is going to be a pain to get around because now I have to get around this loop. So, and I didn't really do very well in cutting my felt there. So I am going to have to snag around the beads. And there we go. Now we're back to making our, base. Now I'm going to stick this up like this instead of making it round, because that looks like a little twig to me, and I like that. And I may just put my jump ring in here instead of through the loop to make it even more like a twig. So I'm going to continue beading on around, and I will meet you back here when I'm done. All right, guys, I'm back. So quick cautionary tale. If you glue your right up to the edge and you try to put your needle through, you're gonna break your needle. So I just broke this needle, and it was one of my newer needles because this is my older needle that probably needs to be replaced. And so this was a newer one, roughly the same size, and I just snapped that in half. That's going in the trash. Now I'm up to the last bead, and so you're going to notice that this bead is not going to quite fill the gap, and we have this loose bead, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in roughly halfway in between those two beads, and I am going to do my brick stitch, and then I'm going to come down through this bead. I'm going to go through the felt and actually I'm going to stick the thread to the back here. It was toward the front. So I'm going to stick the thread toward the back, and now I'm going to come through the felt and the suede, and I'm going to come back through. I'm going to come up, and I'm going to go back up through that bead, and that is going to anchor it down. Oopsie. Keep getting my pinky caught. I'm going to anchor it down, and then I'm going to go through the bead right next to it and through the felt toward the front. Now, the reason why I went toward the front is because now we need to fasten this off. And in order to do that, I am just going to start making knots around the beads on the front. So I'm just going to make a slip knot here. And I'm going to do it in between the beads and attach it to the thread. I'm going to go back up through a couple more beads. And I'm going to say every like 3 beads. And I'm going to do another knot, trying not to snag the Shibori silk. And just do a knot. Now, I know you probably can't see that real well on camera. I'm just making a couple loops. I'm going to go back up through some more beads. Make another knot. And then continue on until I'm at a point where I'm somewhere where it's kind of inconspicuous, like behind these leaf beads. And then I'm just going to trim this off. And so that's it. Now all we have to do is put a jump ring on. And I really like that I went with the gold. I think that looks amazing. And so I am going to finish this one, and I'm going to call it, and then I will show you the finished ones together in another video. I think this one's getting kind of long, so I'm going to try to spare you the marathon video. It's probably already a marathon, but so anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. I think this looks fabulous. I think it's going to hang really nicely once we get it on a, and actually let's do that together. Let's get it on a jump ring and get an ear wire on it just to see what it looks like. Again, I'm thinking I'm going to put my jump ring through the 80 seed bead if I can get it through there. Woo! I'm throwing jump rings. And I lost that one. Of course, I have a bunny under my... Oh, she's kissing me. I have a bunny kissing my leg. Hi, Velvet. She wants cookies. So if you can get a jump ring through your seed bead, I don't know if I'm going to with the amount of... Ooh, I did. That's nice. All right, so there's my jump ring through there. I'm going to slip an ear wire on that. So now not only do we have a set of leaves, oopsie, we also have, and this will twist a little bit, unfortunately, but we also have, and that's going to hang quite nicely on the ear. So there we go. So now I have a peach earring. I'm going to finish the other one, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.